So think back a minute to the beginning. Way back when there was a formless void, and at the voice of God, at his breath came forth life. The heavens and the earth were separated. Stars, the lights in the sky, night and day, the birds, the animals, the plants, all living creatures were created at his command. And each day as he gazed upon the glory of creation, he said, "It is good." And coming into the last day, he formed human beings. Male and female, he created them in God's image. They were created. No other creature, the plants, the fish, the birds, the animals, not even the most glorious of animals, could claim that fact. No, only we as human beings have been created in the image and the likeness of our God. We have been imprinted with his image on our hearts and on our souls. That is who we are. That is our identity. That we are created in the image of our God. So those Pharisees were trying to trap Jesus, trap him in speech, and get him to say, well, no, either you can't pay the tax or you should, and either way probably wasn't going to be helpful. And Jesus knew what they were up to. And as they gave him the coin that would be used to pay the tax, he asked them, whose inscription is this? Whose image is on this coin? And they replied, Caesar, the Roman emperor. It was his image. It was his inscription. That coin was marked with the image of Caesar. And very wisely then Jesus says, well, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. But give to God what belongs to God. It was that reminder that all human beings have been imprinted. Just like that coin bore the image of Caesar, we bear the image of our God. Give to God what belongs to God. And so in a very real sense, that seems pretty easy. If we are in the image and likeness of God, then we give to God what belongs to God. If we have been imprinted with his image, if that's our core being, then it seems obvious. We give to God us, our hearts and our lives. And of course we all know on one level it seems so easy, and on another level it seems so very difficult to do that. We have three individuals that stood before us this morning as they are entering into this journey to prepare for baptism, confirmation, and Eucharist. This is a journey of faith, a journey that leads them to more deeply recognize this fact of whose they are, of who they belong to, of whose image they bear. And in the months to come, as they grow in faith and knowledge, they are growing in embracing this very fact that each of them are created in the image and likeness of God. That image is implanted, imprinted upon them, upon their souls. But it goes beyond that. Because for them and for us, we must recognize that each other, all human beings, are from their very first moment of conception, are imprinted with this image of God. We know life begins at the very moment of conception. This month of October is dedicated to the respect of the dignity of all human life. And as a parish community and as a wider community this year, we have been participating in 40 Days for Life. As a community, we have been praying and fasting and witnessing this belief in the power of our God, in the truth that all human beings, from that moment of conception, belong to God. That all are created with that stamp, with that image of God. We pray and we fast and we work for an end to abortion. That truly every single life may be seen as precious, as imprinted with this image of God. That's who we are. In our own lives, I think it's important for us to step back. We may sometimes beat ourselves up. We may have been hurt. We may struggle to see ourselves created in the image of God, bearing this very mark of God. But we need to recognize the beauty of us, each of us, created in God's image. How we are the high point of God's creation, and how God so deeply loves us that he sent his only Son to shed his blood for us. On a wider level as well, we know all of the attacks against human life, from the moment of conception, but all the way through life. And as we move out, we need to work at recognizing that dignity of the other person. We need to see this image of God imprinted on each and every single human being that we meet or that we encounter. If we want to bring an end to racism, I think this is the key. We need to begin to see not the label, not the color of skin, not the language somebody speaks. We need to be able to see the very fact that this person standing before me, or this person with whom I struggle, or whoever it is, that they, like me, are created in the image of God. That they bear this image of God in their heart, in their soul, in their lives. As we work further, we look at the world around us, and how can we work together to strengthen this respect of the dignity of all human life? How can we work with leadership, with governments, with elected officials to truly ensure that every single human life is precious, is respected, that we uphold the dignity of life? That's the most basic value that we hold, and the most basic value that we possess. And it begins from that creation, that very fact that we bear the imprint of God in our lives. We face many challenges. As a nation, as a world, individually. We know that. But we also know that how we are created and who we are, whose we are. Step back. Look here. Look into your own heart and your own life. Do I respect and build up my own dignity? Do I see myself as created in God's image? Do I see my neighbor, the other person, the most vulnerable, all people around us? And if we begin there, we can begin to look at the next steps of how then, as a nation, as government, and as a world, how then are we working for the dignity of each human being? We can't do it alone. We recognize that we need God in this journey. As we are created in the image and likeness of God, we know that we need Him. We need that grace. We need that strength. We need that courage to maybe go against the flow, go against the grain at times, to stand up for the dignity of the human person, to recognize this dignity in another, to see the very imprint of God in the soul of each person. Pray. Pray for our nation and our world. Pray in this season of elections for wisdom and guidance. Pray for strength. And pray for that healing grace of God to be able, in our own selves, to recognize this most basic fact of being created, imprinted with God's image. We pray that we may recognize that very most basic fact